Hello, everybody. This is another episode for the Mars Attacks making of. Right here on this video, it's going to be more about a little skull that I add onto the base. It's trying to use references. I put a reference image on the front and side that I found online. And I'm going to build a skull from that using these references. A little bit quicker than trying to eyeball it and get it there. It's just something I needed to make real quick. I didn't really want to spend too much time on it, so using references will get you there a lot faster. A lot of times this kind of helps you develop a little bit more about the anatomy and understanding of shapes and forms, and sometimes your mind's eye of what you think something looks like doesn't always look like what you think it should when you go from memory. So this is where references come into play, and they always help out. It's good to kind of get a base and go from there and add your little artistic touch to it afterwards. Anatomy is always something that we're always learning and studying and trying to master. You always find like little details that you forget to put in, whether you're using 2D pencils or doing 3D models like this. So you can see that I'm doing the base shape. I'm just kind of pushing and pulling using the that new profile brush that kind of was added recently. Something I kind of wish was added sooner, but it's okay. It works now, and that's what I was using for this. There had been other workflows to work around that, but having that brush helps a lot. So I'm pushing and pulling on the face, putting features back in. It won't be like a very high detailed model. It's more of an exaggerated kind of skull at the end. I'll start adding a lot of cracks and details to it, but you'll see. And so you can see I kind of got the overall shape of the front or the top of the skull. I don't jump into the jawbone. I really just need the top part of the skull just as it is, because it's going to be kind of in the dirt or in the ground of the model or the base. So I didn't really need to focus on that. I just wanted to get something real quick out and model from here. As you can see, I dynameshed the model so where I can start pushing and pulling and putting eye cavities in. And this is something that just using references always helps you see visually what you need to do. And so using a lot of masking to kind of push and pull, masking out areas where I need to just inset and push it back in. It seems to be the easier process for me to just mask it and push it in. And then dynamesh it again if you really have to get more geometry or points in your model. Not always when you have a reference that they match up perfectly, but just kind of blending between the two images and getting as close as you can will get you there. It happens in architecture too. When I used to do houses, you would have a front profile and side profile. The roofs almost never matched. Same thing here. You'll get a reference sometimes and something won't match, but just do the best you can and push forward. So you can kind of see the skulls kind of taking a little bit of shape. And after a while, I think I put the reference on the side and just follow that and start adding details. But I go back and forth sometimes depending on how things are. So adding this in. You can see the little reference on the side where I'm putting the details back in. This helps. This always helps to somewhat get your creative parts in, because sometimes you can exaggerate some of these details, sculpting a little bit more sharper details. You always see a skull, like a tattoo skull or a cartoon skull, and everybody has their own little artistic touch to a skull. They always have those eyebrows kind of pointed down, a little bit angry, when really the skull is almost just like smiling. More details, just using reference, going back and forth, just trying to paint in some of the little features that are here and there. I'm using the clay build-up brush just to start getting in there, making little features. As you can see, it's starting to come around. Like, it's just a slow process. It just kind of depends on how much time you want to spend on doing a prop or a little thing that's going to be in the scene. I wanted this to be a little bit detailed, and I spent about, I think, an hour maybe. This is a sped up video, maybe an hour and a half or so on this skull. But I still add details and textures even after I put it in the base of the model too. So that's, you know, add another hour. But you can see that getting a reference image and working from that will get you somewhere a lot quicker than trying to figure out in your mind what something should look like or what something should be. Just get you there a little bit faster. So you can see, and I'll probably start pushing and pulling and exaggerating features that I want to see. The nose, I want to push that in a little bit more, push it out on the top. It's getting that look after you've got your base. I wanted this skull to kind of be one of the people that were zapped by the laser, I guess, and kind of give it a little bit more, I guess, I don't know what you would call it. The skin kind of burns onto the skull, I guess, and you can still see some of the features, but I think in the end I kind of smoothed it out. I wanted to give it that kind of silly Mars Attack feel. Here you can see that I'm just sculpting, just more back and forth, really. Just filling in places and going from there. Sometimes it's fun to just zone out on models like this, and just, you know where you're going with it, and so you just plowing away. And sometimes when you do other things that are a little more complicated, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for your creativity to catch up. But whenever you do something like from life, like a skull or something you're following, you can kind of just enjoy it for what it is, that process of creating. So you can see the skull starting to come around a little bit more. Those little imperfections with the brush, it always seem to kind of help. Like, anywhere you put that brush, it kind of gives that little bit of imperfection. It just helps it just slightly to be a little more random, and nothing's perfect in life, so you do have imperfections here and there, the non-symmetrical features of the skull. Even when you looked at that reference, the teeth were a little, they weren't symmetrical. There was one side that was a little bit different. So I guess I'm either saving or I dynameshed it. Whenever I do little pauses like that, I'm always like, what happened right there? Or I walked away. I don't know. We'll see. So in order to cut into the model, I wanted to use some of the geometry and bullying it out. Something I don't usually do, but since it's there, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna bullying this out. I don't even want to try to sculpt down and try to make the hole. I'm just gonna subtract and open that up a little bit more. It's pretty cool though. It worked out pretty good. I think when you cut into a model, sometimes like, I guess I was probably overthinking sometimes before, but now it's just like, just put a hole in there and just go, and you can sculpt it back out or fill it back in, whatever you prefer. So you can see it's going to be kind of rough. What I got, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be there. We can fix that later. So I'll make a boolean from that, and I'm just going back in and just working with what I got. The shape wasn't anything perfect. There wasn't anything like thought out. It was just extract, push it down, and cut open the skull. And as I go, I'll keep pushing and pulling. And you can see it'll start opening up. When I first started doing modeling, I think a lot of times I would overthink things and instead of just start doing it. And that's where a lot of models are going. Like lately, just get in there and start, just get that creativity going or get your mind going. Once you start, it's not so bad. I think starting is probably the harder part of most things. And so now I'm going to put the teeth details in, or those little slots. Pushing a little bit more detail using the damn standard. Pushing a little more creasing on the model. Sometimes it's good to kind of outline with the damn standard to kind of get an idea where you're going to put something and then go back in and the rest of the detail. You can see it's very loose. This is a loose model. Little deeper on the cavity. Sometimes that'll help capture the light a little bit better to make it a little more sunken in. I don't think anybody's going to get a ruler and say that's not how deep they go, but it's artistic touch to it at the same time. So, let's see what we got here. Do I do the jaw? I can't remember. I'm trying to backtrack in my mind. Oh no, I do the teeth. I was like, why would I do the jaw? I've been meaning to get on this video sooner to post online, but been a very busy month. It just keeps getting busier. It's not a bad thing though, I like staying busy. So the teeth are just basic boxes, and you can see I'm just copying one and go to the next, and then I'm gonna actually just sculpt on top of that. It's not really anything to these. I think originally I started to place the sockets for the teeth first, but then I think just going from numbers, you know, how many teeth do you have, and then count them back and then put them back in. Let's see, I guess that's where my thinking went whenever I started doing this. I don't know about y'all out there, but I always end up trying to count my teeth, you know, while I'm sculpting. I'm like, all right, one, my front tooth, the next tooth, and going from there. It's always funny. And I guess unless you're missing your wisdom teeth, you'll have fewer teeth. But you can see like little sticks of gum sticking around at the bottom. So just kind of adjusting the skull to match the teeth. And then you just go back in and start sculpting it out where you place teeth and getting that detail back in. I think going the other way was a little bit, I was going to probably get in trouble if I didn't space it accurately, or, you know, it seemed easier, I guess, at the time to go from the teeth up. And that's always something you can see right there. I drew it wrong, and so you can sculpt it back out. But you learn as you go. You learn different processes. You know, one way works for something, another way works for another. And you just go back and forth from that. That's the fun thing about learning, is that, you know, you learn ways not to do something or ways to do something quicker. I don't think there's a right way or wrong way. It just, whatever you feel works. And so I'm just starting to put a little bit more detail in. It's a little rough. Try to smooth it out. I think my habit sometimes is using the smooth brush and not the peaks and valleys and stuff like that to keep the detail. I always end up just smoothing it out, flattening it out, and having to go back and add the detail that I lost. But sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's a back and forth thing. And deep down inside, I know I should be using a different smoothing, but I always go back to the standard smoothing. I don't know. Maybe I just get lost in it and just forget that it's there, or so now you can see a little bit more of that clay. Like I mentioned, wherever it touches, it makes it look a little bit more unique. I guess there's a word. And so I'm starting to put the little details back in, little cracks, and going in and start doing that. I could have probably made this a very specific model, but in the end it's real loose. It's not very crazy, but it was fun. It was a fun model. You get the exaggerations and stuff like that going. So you can see right here, I'm still pushing and pulling the skull to make it work. And you can be as crazy as you want. It's probably a little wide, but you know, that's this skull, I guess. And so teeth are looking perfect. He's got some perfect teeth over here. We fix those later on, or you know, on this video, but so the cheekbone has always got some interesting features on it. Trying to break that up. And then I get thinking a bit, I turn off the symmetry and just start going a little bit asymmetrical to kind of give it a little bit of that natural feel. But not yet. I think it's back and forth. Because you can see in the that reference, it's not perfect. There's differences on each side. And that's a good thing to kind of realize, that everything's kind of random. Everything's not perfect. And I guess for my skull, I'll kind of give him the brows, the eyebrows, a little bit more in feature, cartoony. So that's, and you'll never see this under here, but I always end up getting lost on like details that you never see sometimes. I guess that's just getting lost in your work and you're just like, oh wait, all right, I'm not gonna see that, but you know, it's fun. Who knows, maybe later on I use the skull for something else and I'm like, well, I'm glad I modeled that. What was that? Symmetry. I guess that the teeth had symmetry, so I'm trying to get rid of that piece. It's like, go away, you. But I want to stay for the potty. But we get rid of it eventually. Sometimes some pieces are just like stubborn. And so now I'm going to put a little detail on the teeth, just kind of break them up, give them a little randomization. Oh, let's see. Looks like the brush isn't. There it goes. Something happened with that brush. Every now and then, the brush will just like stop working. You're like, come on, brush. So, just kind of getting a little bit of grit on these teeth. I think I'll start forming them out to get little points here and there. But yeah, little things here and there. I think I changed that from the clay buildup to the trim dynamic. That kind of helps give a little bit more, I don't know, smooth, polished features, I guess. Topological, so it doesn't affect the other guy. Kept grabbing the wrong model, and I was like, I need to just get that in there. So in here you can see just quickly just adding detail to the teeth. It's nothing crazy yet, and I think eventually the teeth are sunk in the ground anyway, so you probably don't see these teeth for the final model of the base. And as you look at it, it's just kind of, yeah, they're just still boxes with a little bit of features and going back and forth. Adjusting the skull, going in there. So a lot of this video is just kind of getting most of the base in. When you look at it, using references help. I'll probably incorporate it in the next video. I'm not sure how far along until I start adding the skull back in, but a lot of this is just kind of real quick, just getting a model. I've modeled the skull more than once, but for some reason I just wanted to do it again. It's always good practice, and sometimes it's just to see where you're at skill set wise and everything. And this round I used a reference, so. But on top of that, just references always help. And if you're modeling a skull, just know that it's not symmetrical, it's not perfect, and there's imperfections here and there. So that's most of this video. There's not really much else to it besides just putting a little bit more detail. And hopefully I can get the next video just as quick out for the next part of the base of the Mars attacks setup. And I hope you learned something from this video. There's always something I'm learning when I do these models and going from there. So thanks for watching. Again, hope you tune in again on the next video. Have a good day.